One of the most profound things I've learned in my life is that it's actually not about my hair at all. I've spent a lifetime trying to cover up who I am. And as much as I love a good external transformation, and I do, I much more love a heart transformation. Join me as I share how I work to heal my heart, find happiness, and embrace our hair. Hey guys, welcome back to It's Not About Your Hair, where we talk all things hair, art, and happiness. Hey gal, dang it. I thought on this episode we would dive into some curly hair myth busting, things to talk to your stylist about, things I hear behind my chair, and just go a little bit deeper into this idea about curls. On the It's Not About Your Hair podcast, I try to talk about all things, hair, heart, and happiness. And it's been a while since we've talked about hair. So let's just dive into it. One of the things, if you're watching here on YouTube or Spotify, if you're not, check it out. I'm going to show you the 11-step little manual that I give to my clients when they come in. It can also be found on my curly hair tracker, the hair heart happiness tracker. All of these things, you guys, I'll link in the show notes here so you can check it out, or you can always check out bossthecurlboss.com. And the links are all there. So I'm going to go into some of these steps and then cocktails that are on the back of this sheet. So these are kind of beginner things that I go over on a first time appointment and then subsequently through every appointment with a client after that, because we're going through the details of always troubleshooting what's going well, what's still a struggle. Are you looking for a new product routine? All super important things to think about. And then we'll talk a little bit about things that I hear people ask for when I do a new client, when they've seen previous stylists, that I think kind of get you into trouble. And we'll end with what we can do about it. Okay, so let's dive in. So for me, you guys, a lot of times when I see a new client, there's so many things. So I start with a consultation. If you're a stylist and you're tuning into this podcast, I have a free training for that too, called, I can't remember, something consultations and mindset, because I have a stylist course where I help you to understand your confidence behind the chair, which is a deeper dive into mindset, because I think you guys, all of this, that's why I created the hair heart happiness tracker. That's why I have these things. I don't necessarily think anything is ever one-sided. It's not just you as a stylist not being able to do what your clients want. It's not just you as a client unable to communicate with your stylist. It's not just your hair that's creating the trouble. There's always some other things blocking us. In a client experience at a consultation, I always ask, I start every appointment with, what are you liking, or what do you like best about your hair, whether you're a returning client or an existing client. With a first-time client, it's really important that I listen during that, because those are the cues. And I talk about this in the free course for stylists, the consultation questions that will help you understand your clients better, but you as a client, that question leads me to listening to what is happening. A lot of times a client will say, oh, I've been looking for volume on the top of my hair and my hairstylist just won't give it to me. And I keep telling her. And as they're telling me that, I'm kind of looking at their hair and assessing what's going on. And a lot of times I can notice that the layers on the top of their hair are too short, but the client is saying, I keep telling my stylist to go shorter, 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 because I'm not getting the volume. And traditionally, that's what you would think would make volume. And as they're saying that, I'm able to identify that they just actually don't have enough length on the top of their hair. And it's not, and the stylist is doing their job by listening to their client and giving them what they want. But in the end, it's not really what they want at all. So I think understanding what you're asking for in curly girls, my goodness sakes, unless you have as curly of hair as mine or curlier, the shorter you go doesn't necessarily, especially when we're talking going into really short on the top, like you want to go 2, 3, 4 inches on the top. If you have a curl pattern that is just loose, if you laid it in your hand, so if you're watching, you can see if I grab this and I just put this in my hand, and you lay it out, you can see that my curl pattern is on a very short rotation. So my curls start at about a quarter inch and they bend, 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 bend all the way through. So my hair, if I go shorter, is still going to be really curly. Some of you, I can put your curl in my hand and it takes a full 4 inches for your hair to coil at all because it actually doesn't even start curling until about 2 inches in, 2 inches in, and you have those bigger, wider curls. Like if you look under here, these curls under here for me are always, they're more about a ripply curl or a flat curl. They don't actually spiral. And so if you have that type of hair, going short is not going to give you more spring. You actually need almost 4 to 6 inches for your hair to curl, and then you get more spring factor. I know that these are hard to understand because in traditional hair cutting, if you cut your layer short and then you round brush that, you're going to create that fullness. But our hair lives 3-dimensionally. So wavy girls, you can go shorter and create more fullness, but you're not going to get more curl. I think that's really important to understand what you're asking your stylist for. And as a stylist, I'm talking to you in this episode as well. You to be educated and confident enough to say to your client, with kindness and truth, that is not going to work. Cutting that shorter isn't going to give you the answer to the problem that you want. And a lot of times we don't say that. In my years of training assistants, I would watch stylist after stylist not feel confident enough to say to their client, that's not going to work. So they would do it. And then the client is perpetually unhappy, hopping from stylist to stylist, complaining when that conversation just needed some truth, some absolute truth. Also, right now in the curly world, I feel like my shape of haircut, but shorter. So like certain brands of haircut. So if you're looking again, that really kind of really rounded shape is really popular. And a lot of people want that. The truth is that doesn't work on every curl type. Or there's a particular brand of hair cutting that is really beautiful. The work is always awesome and it looks very rounded, but they're doing a ton of finger coiling to create that fullness and rounded shape on the top. They're going through an individually round, finger coiling every curl. That is not right or wrong. It's just whether or not you're willing to do that. And for me personally, I'm not willing to do that. And I find that most of my clients aren't willing to do that. So again, having a clear expectation about what you can expect to get out of your curl pattern and what you can't. Anyone can create those finger coils and get a stronger curl pattern. No doubt about it. You can look up YouTube videos and Instagram reels all day long and find out how to do that. For me, I find it's frustrating to have to go through and do that to my whole head. And then B, here's the other part, that doesn't refresh for me. So if I go through and finger coil all of my hair, that isn't my natural way that my hair lives. So when I go to refresh it, it almost is like fish out of water. My curls don't know where to refresh at. So I'm only able to get a really beautiful wash day out of that as long as I don't plan on touching my hair. And so again, just expectation versus reality. And for me, I'd rather have a little bit of disjointed, dysfunctional frizz that's authentically my hair that unpacks and lives out well for 6 or 7 days versus a really polished, perfect curl pattern that only looks good on day 1. Things to think about. Curly brushes. Everyone asks. I sell a particular flexi finger brush in my Etsy shop. I'm actually out of stock and have been for a while. I don't think, you guys, that there's one perfect brush. I think that's really important. I'm going to just myth bust at that. I have used a Denman brush. I've used the really viral bounce curl brush. I've used the flexi finger brush. What I don't think works is a wide tooth comb. Stop it. You need to get tension on every curl. I always say all the things need to happen to every curl every time. So wide tooth comb, you're missing huge clumps of hair. We need to pull that through. What I have noticed with the flexi finger brush that I like is that it puts a moderate amount of tension but no breakage. The Denman brush, I felt like it was a little strong. The Denman brush I like a lot on the curlier and coarser textures because it's going to get that even slip to the hair. The bounce curl brush, I think my wavier girls tend to like. Personally, again, I think that creates a little bit of manipulation to the curl. And I discovered that that doesn't refresh well. So again, you might have a good set with it because it's going to create. I think about the bounce curl brush, which is not right or wrong. Think about this though. When I was a kid, I'm 45, we used to have to curl our own ribbons before you could pre-buy those. And you would take the scissors and put the tension on, and then it would curl, right? So the bounce curl brush has that same thought process behind it. It's got the thick bristles in the center with the edges that your curls fall through. And as you pull it, it puts the tension. And then I think the edges are almost like the edge of the scissor that's going to curl. So when I use that, what happens when it comes out is the ends of my hair are really curly and the root is stretched out because it puts that tension and then curls it. Again, for me, not ideal, but I do think some of the wavier girls that want to create a little bit more curl pattern, that's a great option. It's something to try. I think that that's really important. It's all trial and error and what you like best. Again, personally, I find when I do over manipulation or finger coiling, brush styling, anything that's not my natural curl pattern, that's not going to wear out as many days as getting my natural curl pattern into its best shape. Okay, so we went through a couple of things to think about when you're in your stylist chair, brushes, and then for me, you guys, the 11 steps. Again, if you check out my hair heart happiness tracker, there's some things I'd like to talk about with that. Is I have some steps, these 11 steps that I use on every client when they're in my chair, no matter what. No matter if you're wavy, curly, coily, I'm going to approach hair with these same 11 steps. Now, how much pressure, how small the sections, that might change. The curlier the hair, the tighter, the curlier and denser the hair, the smaller sections I might take as I move up the hair, because we really want product to get into every pothole in the hair. So I think everywhere the hair bends is a pothole that needs to be filled and sealed. So if you have really curly, dense hair, you might need to take smaller sections to get to all of those curls, but we're always going to start by shampooing the scalp. I think a lot of times in the curly world, we miss the opportunity for scalp health. So getting in at that scalp and creating that lather at the scalp, so important. Also, one thing really important when you're shampooing and conditioning your hair, if you're a curly girl and you're going 7 to 10 days in between washes, you are going to have shedding. So a lot of times on a new client, they'll say to me, I'm just lose so much hair when I shower. So that's why they quit using a brush and they went to a wide tooth comb because they're seeing less hair fall out. It's not pulling your hair out, unless of course it is. And then you need to know. And that's why I quit using the Denman brush. It was putting too much pressure on my hair. But you shed 75 to 150 hairs a day. Now, with how curly my hair is, I don't run my fingers through my hair except for on wash day. So maybe that's you too. So when those hairs are shedding, they're just kind of staying stuck into my curls. So when I brush my hair on shower day, I can look like a ton of hair falls out. That doesn't mean that you're losing all that hair. It's been shed through your week cycle. That's normal. Now, if you have alopecia, you're missing sections of hair, really important, but shedding is normal. And unfortunately, it's normal whether they have thick hair or thin hair. Now, I'm going to tell you for my thin haired girlies, something that I've seen really work. There is a couple of things work. Scalp stimulation works for hair growth, blood flow, period. So really getting in and doing some scalp massage every day, because we don't touch our hair as much as curly girls and scalp. So if you're not watching, check out the YouTube version of this, or you want to do a little scalp stimulation, 2 minutes every night. And don't rake through because you'll really mess up your curls, but stay right where your hair is at and just little circular motions for 2 minutes every night. You'll get volume, but it's going to get blood flow. That's a great way to start with hair growth. Be very careful on these hair oils at the scalp. There's a couple, Innocence I love. I'm going to talk about that. The other ones I don't know about, but I'm going to tell you that oil and water separate, and oil on the scalp repeatedly can cause blockage and buildup. That's what I'm going to say. Be careful. Use your fingers, get in there, be kind to yourself. The other thing, if you are really, really fine or thin hair and you want to see, the only thing I've ever seen that really gives amazing results for that is PRP. It is where I'm going to say this wrong, but I think they pull out your blood, they spin it until just this gold stuff is left. I don't know what it's called. I'm not into that. And then they, inject it back into your scalp. A little painful. You have to, inexpensive, about 3 times a year. I think you have to do 3 sessions up front and then once or twice a year after that. I have had clients that have had incredible results with that. If my hair was thinning, it would absolutely be an investment I would make. But what it's going to do, you guys, is it strengthens so you don't shed as much hair naturally. That's what it's doing. So nothing, I don't think those shampoos and conditioners work that well. But I think that the PRP works because it stops the process of the hair shedding as much. And then you're holding on to more hair. And think about that. So in 4 weeks, my clients are seeing pretty amazing results. If you shed 75 to 150 hairs a day and you stop that shedding, you're going to see a density increase amazingly. Now, here's the problem. People get doing that just like weight loss. They get to their goal and they quit getting their stuff because they think they don't need it. And then the hair falls out again in its normal cycle. So be cautious, conscience. Anyways, I'm be cognizant of that, that you have to, that's probably a once a year for the rest of your life. But again, if it's $600 once a year, you can save for that. And if it gets you, if your hair, I always say, if the thickness or thinness of your hair bothers you so much that you think about it on the daily, I would really consider that. That's a great thing. But all of these scalp oils really, no. Why those scalp oils work, I think, more often than not is they're getting people to touch their scalp. And so touch your scalp. That will help with hair growth, but it's not going to help necessarily with thickness. So scalp and then condition all of your hair, all of the hair, you guys. That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And brush it through. I love to brush my conditioner through on all hair types because we want to make sure that we have even saturation. And a lot of times you overuse conditioner because it's not getting in the hair, it's sitting on the surface. I think that understanding fillers and sealers in my world, you guys, is really important. And I have a free training for that. So filling the hair is something that's going to bind the water to the hair. It's going to create slip. And I use only InnerSense products. That's kind of where I'm at in my life right now and in my journey. Once I found something that worked, I think simplicity for me is really important. My freaking life is complicated. Your life is ultimately complicated. We don't need to have 9 million different types of products. And a lot of products create buildup, period. I'm not going to get into that. I talk about that a lot. I love InnerSense. I love clean beauty. I love learning about the ways to care for my skin, my body, my hair. And InnerSense has been it for me. And there's enough products that I can create different cocktails, but I don't have to worry about some of the other issues. So a free training I have, you guys, if you want to get into that, I'm not going to go into it here because I have a free training. Again, I'll link it, but it's called Fillers, Sealers, and Creating a Cast That Lasts. This is great for stylists or you as an everyday person wanting to know what is a filler and what products in the InnerSense category are a filler and what's a sealer. A sealer is that crunchy cast. Now, a lot of times what I see on a new client, especially or people that are asking me questions online, is that they're only casting their hair. They're afraid of the water. They're afraid of the filler because they think it's going to weigh their hair down, especially you fine-haired girlies. Stop believing the lie. You need a filler and a sealer. I don't care who you are. You need both because one, and a lot of times we think, oh, it's too heavy for my hair. That's a lie. It's just a lie. I've seen it time and time again. We need that weight. Think about water as buoyant. We need that buoyancy, and then you need to seal it. So sealing is creating that hard shell on the outside. So if all you're doing is sealing, you get crunchy, and then you try to break that crunch off, and your curls are not bouncy and shiny. They actually deflate and go, because the only thing holding them is that cast. So you need the softness underneath. So when you break the cast, the curls bounce off. If you follow me on social, you'll see when I break the cast, it's like so goddamn magical because we've created that balance of hydration and casting. If all you do is cast, you're going to be crunchy and hard. And personally, for me, I spent so much of my earlier half of my life, pre-30, only afraid of my hair getting big. I was afraid of big because big was frizzy for me because I didn't understand the concept of filling. And so I walked around with crunchy, stiff, hard hair. And for curly girls, a lot of times they're happy to stay there because it's better than the frizz. But I'm telling you right now, you need a filler and a sealer. So the training, again, bossthecurlboss.com, it's free. It's at the top in the link. Fillers, sealers, and creating a cast that lasts. That's going to walk you through it. And I think it's ultimately all three, you guys. I talk about this a lot. It is having a great shape in your hair, not thinning your hair out. Never, 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 never thin your curly hair out. especially hair like mine. That's the first thing stylists want to do. It's the first thing I used to do to my hair and the thing I did to all my clients' hair before I became a curly hair specialist. So having curly hair doesn't qualify you to be a curly hair specialist because I was doing all the wrong things. I've been told my whole life that my hair is thick, it needed to be thinned out. Well, when we thin the hair out, you guys, straight hair lays in sheets. So when we thin it out, that's beautiful and it creates that fringy, soft Jennifer Aniston hair. With curly hair, a curl lays in clumps. So when we take parts of that clump out, ugh, we're left with density at the root and stringiness on the ends. And it's why our curls don't stay together. Our clumps need to live in families. So when those families are broke up, that's where curl confusion, frizziness, all of these things happen. Stop undercutting your kids' hair to get rid of thickness. Once that hair is the buildup is broke off a bit. So a lot of times I see clients have so much buildup that their hair is water resistant. So their curls won't actually get curly and springy. They just stay big and dry and frizzy. That is buildup on the hair, not allowing water to get in. So people don't mind big hair as long as it's defined, you guys. What they don't want is big frizzy hair. And so a lot of times it's back to the buildup. You need to detox your hair. You need to understand how water gets in the hair and you need to stop thinning your hair. If your stylist recommends thinning your hair, you need a different stylist. Or again, you need to take my course so that you can know what to ask your stylist. So you know your hair better than your stylist because there's a couple things. Sometimes curly hair stylists aren't readily available in your area. Sometimes you just can't afford a curly hair stylist. And I understand that. I really do. My paid for course called Cultivating Your Curl Confidence. I have Cultivating Your Curl Confidence, which is a consumer course where I'm doing my own hair, walking you through step by step, styling my hair, but also talking you through the consultation questions I ask a stylist or a client when they're in my chair and walking them through everything I would teach on a first date with a new client. You also get the Hair Heart Happiness Tracker for free, which I think is a great resource. And it comes with these images, the fillers and sealers, and also a guide to tracking your thoughts about yourself, which are really, really important, you guys, because if you've been saying mean things about your hair and yourself, it's very hard to look in the mirror and see something good if all you say is mean things. Um, and I think that's a great introduction to understanding your hair, and you can watch it over and over again. And I just think it's a great investment. I created that because I had so many people on my wait list, and I'm never going to get to all the people who are looking for a curly specialist. I'm never going to be able to, but this is a great way for you to start. And then maybe even if you're not seeing a specialist, you know personally what not to ask for when you go, and it gets you started. And then if you're a stylist, I have Cultivating Your Curl Confidence Behind the Chair, which is giving you some great consultation questions, but also helping you to overcome your fear around curls, overcoming your fear around telling your clients what they actually need, and stop blaming the things in your life for why your business isn't where you want to be. That is a really fun course that I think would be helpful. Um, and the component of how we see ourselves, you guys, is so important. Most of my life, I thought I was ugly. I thought my hair was ugly. And I know that that's hard to believe when you look at my hair now, because I think so many people do compliment me on my hair, and I do love my hair. And that's not conceited. It's like such a relief to be able to look at myself and say that I appreciate things about me. And I try to teach this to my daughters and hopefully to you through the Hair Heart Happiness Tracker, or just following along on my social media, daily posting. Hey, you're doing good. You're in the right spot. It's a journey, not a destination. My hair is still changing. I'm changing. My body is changing. 45, I'm in a new realm. It's learning to find things that we love about ourselves and having the confidence to feel confident in the hair and skin you're in, even as it's changing. So my arms, you guys, God dang it, fluff is coming. And I could focus on this, but if you watched the episode with Joanne Startman, she said what we focus on grows. My God, I loved that. You should go back and watch it if you haven't. Founder and owner of Innocence Organic Beauty. She's such a light and a great friend. But what we focus on grows. So if every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, this arm, instead of look at the top, I'm getting a little baby muscle. I can focus here, or I can focus here. I can focus, if you're looking and watching, I can focus on the frizz, or I can focus on the definition. What you focus on grows. I'm going to encourage you to find things that you love about yourself, because when you do that, you become more confident in yourself and less demeaning of yourself. And guess what? That transfers out to how you are to other people as well. Less judgmental, more kind, more accepting, more encouraging. God dang, I want to be a cheerleader my whole life for myself and for other people. And you don't have to be there yet. So today I made my daughter a smoothie with the spinach and all the things. And you know what? Tomorrow she might not have that, but today she did. So we celebrate that. Yesterday she cleaned her room and did her laundry. Celebrate the wins where you're at in your life. Don't be like, oh, I think so often we're like, oh, but I'm still fine. Don't say that. Or I'm still this, or my bedroom's still not good enough. What is good enough? What is going well? You are good, my gal. So I think detoxing our hair is important, but detoxing our thoughts is also important, which is why all of the things I offer you guys, whether it's my online expertise through my social media is Hair, Heart, Happiness. It's why the podcast is Hair, Heart, Happiness. It's why all of my courses that I offer, whether free courses or paid for courses, encompass all of it, because it's not just about your hair. Because we have some mindset work to do to shift the way we see ourselves and others. That's going to create the life that you want. You are beautiful. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of being seen. I hope this episode helps you to enjoy your hair, your heart, and yourself and others so much more. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe to my channel, to follow me on social, and to listen wherever podcasts can be found. And join me every Tuesday at 2 as we unpack how to heal your hair, your heart, and your happiness.